Ano yung parts? So, of course, you have the uh, address of the recipient. Okay? So, paano po ito? Halimbawa, kung si interviewee niyo po ay nagtatrabaho sa uh, Okada. Okay, ano ang mailing address ng Okada? So, yun ang ilalagay niyo. Name muna ng recipient and then yung work address or yung company address. Kung Convey Asia ang interviewee niyo, ano ang official address ng Convey Asia. Okay? So, yun po. And then, of course, the salutation. Dear Mr., Dear Miss, ayan. And then you go to the body of the email and then you give your closing respectfully and then you give your name. Po. So, simple as that. Pwede na po yan yung format ng letter. Just siguro add after your name your contact information, either in the form of an email address or a cell phone number, or both the email and the cell phone number. So example, dito sa letter, ang sender ay si Sean McCallum. So, kunwari, Sean McCallum, tapos sean@gmail.com, phone number, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so something like that. Right? So this is the sample format for the letter. This might also inspire you in terms of content, pero not everything in this letter is applicable to what I'm expecting from you. It might just, give you an idea how to get started. But again, please do not plagiarize and please analyze the letter. I mean, yung part na ito, pwede ba to sa project namin? Baka naman hindi. Okay? So that's the problem sometimes when we use letters as guides, we stick to them too much, like literally part by part, masyado nating minomodel yung gagawin nating letter. But you always have to ask yourself, applicable din ba sa activity namin or sa output namin itong part ng letter na to. In which case, either tanggalin or i-modify para tutugma na siya sa needs ng output. Okay? Speaking of letter content, so I'm going to share with you the final draft of Camille's letter. So she consulted me about this, so na grammar check na rin ito. So Camille, when you submit the final version, please do not forget the parts that were shown in this sample format. No? Yung saan yung office
Okay,
address.
sir.
Okay po. Like ano yung office address ni Ma'am Kathleen, halimbawa. Tapos you can add your contact information after your name. But let's look at Camille's letter. Okay. So, dear Kathleen Del Rosario, you can just write the complete name and then put a colon. So, para medyo mas formal, no? Medyo na para mas formal, ayan. Instead of a comma, after the name, we'll use the colon. Or sa Tagalog, yung tutuldok. Okay, so she wrote, I am Camilo Mabas, a fourth-year student of San Sebastian College, Recoletos de Cavite, taking Bachelor of Arts in Communication. The second part is, sino ang nag-refer sa kanya? So kung sa Convey yan, actually hindi ako nag-refer sa inyo sa Convey. Si Sir Paul Morga ang nag-refer sa atin sa Convey. So you were referred to me by Mr. Jose Paulo Morga as someone who can share insights with regard to the field of advertising. And then you make the request in the letter. I would like to ask if I can have a short written interview with you through email or Facebook Messenger chat. And then you explain why. Why do you want to have an interview? This is our final output in one of our major subjects, which is COM 22, Advertising Principles and Practices. So, ito yung gawa ni Camille. Pwede natin gamitin as a guide Pero please po, wag nating kopyahin ng word for word. Again, bawal mag-plagiarize. Alright? So then, of course, we end our request letter with saying thank you by expressing our gratitudes. It says, thank you and I look forward. Okay, wait lang po. I look forward to your favorable response. And then, respectfully, then she wrote her name. Dadagdag na lang dyan yung kanyang contact information. Okay, so again, this slide shows you the format. This slide is a good example for the content of the letter. All right, so what I also want to do in this Zoom interaction is to talk about some tips in writing interview questions. So that there will be less going back and forth of the interview questions. Let's try to see if we can implement these tips before submitting the interview questions for grammar checking as well as for correctness. Okay, first tip. The first tip reads, questions should not be answerable by just yes or no. So we are looking for what we call open questions. So what are open questions? Open questions require an answer that is longer, that is an explanation, or that gives an opinion. Okay. On the other hand, closed questions, they can only be answered by yes or no. So what do we mean by that? Let's have a look at the example. The example reads, do you think segmenting plays an important role in producing an advertisement? So if you start your question with do you think, then there are only two possible answers. It could be yes or it could be no. Or if the interviewee isn't sure, maybe the interviewee will answer maybe. But again, it's not a very long answer. So one thing we could do to improve the example given is to change it to a why question. So if you start your interview question with the why, with the word why, automatically it cannot be answered by just yes or no. So the better version could be, why is segmenting important in producing an advertisement? Another tip is, do not limit the interviewee's answers to a given set of options. So what does this mean? Let's look again at the example. Do you prefer demographic segmentation or psychographic segmentation? So what's the problem with the question? The interviewee might have another answer that's not among the choices. So how do we fix the question? We can change it to a how question. How do you subdivide the population to help you think about who are and are not the potential customers for your client's product? So automatically, he or she can give whatever answer uh, he or she believes in. So it could be demographic, it could be psychographic, it could be behavioral, it could be geographic. But the point is, with this kind of question, they're not limited to just two options. All right? Another tip, please avoid the use of Taglish and also be specific. So for example, here's the interview question. If the client disagrees with the big idea for an ad, anong gagawin ng inyong agency? Okay? So better to say, if the client disagrees with the big idea for an ad, what does the creative team do during and after the presentation? So it's more specific now. Kanina, it's the ad agency. So it's the whole company, regardless kung creatives or accounting or any department in the agency. But now, it's clearer, it's more specific na ang tinatanong lang ng interviewee is anong gagawin ng creative team. Okay, so be specific. Okay, another tip, clarify any vague, or vague means unclear, any vague words or phrases. Example, the question, which media do you like most and why? So sometimes the easy solution to a question that doesn't give a longer answer is to add why to the question, because if you add why, automatically the interviewee will have to come up with an explanation. Okay, so also we have to clarify the vague words or the vague phrases. So sa interview question, ano yung media? What do we mean by the media? And what do we mean by like most? So here are two examples of how to make it more specific. So the first revision is, which of the television commercials that your company produced did you enjoy working on the most and why? So mas malinaw na. Anong klaseng media? Television. We're talking about the television commercials. Commercials nino? Ng kumpanya mismo o ng competition? So now we know it's the commercials of the company, the one that they produced, and not just any commercial out there. Okay. And then we also clarified, what do we mean by like most? Like, what do you like most? So now it's clearer. What did you enjoy working on the most? Sa maraming ginawa niyong TV commercials, which one did you enjoy working on the most? And then para medyo humaba pa yung sagot niya, and why? Right? Another example is, which radio advertisement by another advertising firm did you think was cleverly conceptualized and why? So this time yung media is radio, and then kaninong ad sa kabila naman, no, sa ibang advertising firm. And then when you say ano yung na-enjoy mo the most sa ads, now it's clearer. Enjoy in what sense? Na-enjoy mo siya kasi clever yung execution ng concept, or clever yung pagkaka-conceptualize ng radio advertisement. Okay? So when you craft your questions, try to make them as specific as possible, and see if kung akong sasagot ng tanong na ito, mahaba-haba ba yung mabibigay kong sagot. Kung ang response mo sa sarili mo ay hindi pala, maikli lang yung may sasagot ng interviewee, then you might want to add why at the end, or rewrite the question in a way that it will make the interviewee pause and think and answer something longer than just one sentence. Okay. The next tip is to revise for grammar, revise for word choice, and revise for spelling. So the example given here, this is an exaggerated example. I just want to show you anong halimbawa ng question na mali sa grammar, mali sa word choice, and mali sa spelling. So exag yung ating halimbawa dito. For example, the word qualities is misspelled, obviously, no? Tapos yung verb tense, are needing. So mali yung tense, grammatically wrong siya. Mali rin yung preposition, hindi dapat for, dapat to. Okay? And yung choice of word, hindi siguro to find, kundi dapat to have. It should be to have instead. What qualities does one need to develop to have a long career in advertising? It's the better version of the example given.